Curse of Weakness just got a major buff. Minus 15% PDR and MDR on top of a curse that already takes away 25% of all attributes. And before you say I'm just hopping on the bandwagon, I made a video literally 3 days ago on how to do boss runs with plus 5 magic healing under 25 gear score with Warlock. And in that video, I recommended Curse of Weakness pre-buff. And I have at least 300 or 400 hours playing with the spell, as I personally think it's been extremely underrated this entire time and extremely OP. The range of effects that minus 25% all attributes has is insane. Say you're fighting somebody like a bear or a panther and they have 45 or 50 strength or agility because they're building straight base stats. You can take away legitimately 12 to 13 strength from that bear or 10 to 15 agility from that bear, which is such a significant reduction in both damage and move speed. And on top of that, if you apply this to any caster, more often than not, they will lose their ability to cast, and you'll take away at least 2 or 3 spells from their memory capacity. And on top of all of that, you reduce their health through their vigor, their move speed by at least 2 or 3 through their agility, and their buff and debuff duration through will, as well as every single thing that's affected by stats, including things from dexterity like action speed and regular interaction speed, and every other stat that you can think of, really. In this video, I'll be showing you the build that I use. It's relatively cheap, but extremely efficient, and it works well in solos, duos, and trios. I'm going to show you what gear to buy and the cheapest way to get it, as well as the skills and perks to use to maximize the benefits of Curse of Weakness. And then I'm going to show a little bit of PvP on how this build works in solos, duos, and trios. Basically, this build here focuses on move speed. So you want to be at least 312, but this is 316. So when you pull your spellbook out, you're still 306 move speed, over 100%, which is extremely vital when you're playing Warlock, in my opinion. It's honestly more important than this true magic damage, but I just make sure to have full true magic damage anyway because of how much MDR is prevalent right now. But luckily, with that Curse of Weakness, we'll be lowering their MDR anyway, so we're going to be cooking people alive. This build will be utilizing the new gem slotting system, but if you do not want the extra cost, you do not have to slot the gems yourself. It just gives you a bunch of extra rolls. Though I will recommend always rolling additional move speed on your boots. It's just like absolutely vital in my opinion. But I'll make sure to keep a tracker the whole time of the price with and without gems, so you can go ahead and follow along yourself. And if you don't want to use the gem method, you don't have gems yourself, I recommend getting additional move speed. But if you don't want to pay that extra money and you just have the gems yourself, it literally costs 50 to slot them yourself if you have the gem already. I like to get mine with agility, but I also like to save money, so sometimes I just roll the agility myself, unless I can find a really cheap one with plus 2 agility. Or just get this one here with plus 1 and add true magic to it. Next, we're going to look for a purple Phoenix Choker. 115. These are going up in price pretty rapidly, so if you're really on a budget, just go ahead and grab a rare. They're literally $30, and you can add whatever rolls you want for dirt cheap. I'm going to get an epic one, though, because I like that extra true magic. Next, we want to go for a blue pair of mystic gloves. And once again, if you can get plus agility on this, that is fire. If not, it's not worth the price. 155, 102. You know, it's tempting. It's very tempting. So we're going to go ahead and grab these ones. So if you were like me, you should have a giant stash of rings already saved up and then a bunch of gems to roll whatever you want. But I'm going to go for Rings of Quickness specifically to get that extra move speed. We're going to get a rare one. Actually, we'll just do them both rare, might as well. Then we do an Adventurer Cloak. Replace that spellcasting speed with True Magic. And then we can just use Squire Pants. It's not really worth it to buy green pants, even if you can fit them in the budget, in my opinion. And you might be wondering why I don't wear a chest. I think the extra 3 move speed is worth losing out on the max health and armor rating. And not everybody's going to agree with that, and that's totally fine. You can just grab the Adventure Tunic, maybe even a green or blue one for yourself if you'd like. But I'm going to go ahead and keep shirtless. And it already brings us to 312 move speed, which will go up as soon as we add additional move speed rolls. Let's go ahead and do that now. I'll show you guys what I socket on all of these. Phoenix Choker, for me, it's not worth using an epic gem, so I'm just going to go ahead and not socket that one. We're going to throw True Magic onto the hood. We're going to throw True Magic onto the cape, and we're going to do additional move speed on the boots. If you wanted to, of course, you could go ahead and roll some additional stuff on the Mystic Gloves, like replace this True Fizz with magical damage bonus or something along those lines, but I'm just going to leave it as is in case I need to do some melee. And then we're going to add True Magic to both of these. And as you can see, the price for adding True Magic is just 1 blue sapphire and 50 emeralds. And if you're like me, you should have like dozens of blue emeralds if you've been running a ton of boss runs this season. And if not, they're only between 40 and 70 gold. So it's only an additional $100 to $120 regardless to add True Magic. And now we have True Magic on all of our pieces, which brings us to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 True Magic and 315 move speed, which means you'll be 305 move speed with your book out, which means you're actually just cooking, which is actually reckless. For our spells, me and my friends tend to like to kill the bosses even when we're in 124s, so I always rock Hellfire, but this is completely optional if you have different ideas for the build, but you can definitely take off Hellfire and replace it with Flamewalker, but you will need Curse of Pain, and I highly recommend Power of Sacrifice for those extra heals and in case you need to make yourself a little stronger. Bolt of Darkness, always a must, especially if you're aiming headshots, and then Curse of Weakness. And the cool thing about Curse of Weakness and Bolt of Darkness, if you reduce their attributes by 25% and then you land headshots with the Bolt of Darkness, you're going to be doing insane damage because you're reducing their MDR and PDR on top of the 25% all attribute. For our spells and perks, I run, obviously, Torture Mastery and Vampirism for the healing, but I also run Curse Mastery. Curse Mastery doesn't do any extra damage to your enemies or to mobs, but it lets you heal for 30% longer, because Torture Mastery is based off healing per tick of damage dealt, not necessarily how much damage per tick, if that makes sense. So if your curse is 30% longer, you get 30% more healing, which for me is just insane, especially with a high move speed build. You want to be able to land a curse or two and get a bunch of heals off of them. You don't want to be sitting there waiting to heal. And then of course I run anti-magic, which is extremely important right now for the meta, especially if people are going to be reducing our MDR with Curse of Weakness by 15%. That extra 25% is just going to eat that right away, and it's going to minimize how much we're going to feel that MDR reduction. All in all, the build's not crazy expensive, and it works great. If you've unlocked loose trousers, of course, you can rock those, increase the move speed even more, and if you're a chest guy, you can always put a chest on. But with all that being said, let's hop into some PvP, and I'll give some commentary on how to use this build. When it comes to trios, you want to go in and out with the damage. You want to land your curses to get that damage started, but then you also want to land your Curse of Weaknesses, so that not only are your curses doing more by reducing their MDR, when it comes time for your partners to finally come in with the physical damage, they're going to do a lot more as well. It's not your job to stick to the combat. You want to land those curses, land those bolts, and then dive in and out. 316 move speed really comes in handy. Right here, I was convinced I would die, but being able to just get away and have your teammates there to have your back is super, super important with this build. And just like before, you want to land those Curse of Weaknesses, and don't be scared to use Power of Sacrifice if your team's already pushing away. Make sure not to use it when they're pushing in, but it's completely fine when they're running. Again, our job is just to get in and out, land those curses 2 or 3 at a time, and spam Curse of Weaknesses so our friends can finish them off. A lot of the time, they aren't even necessarily focusing you, like here, so you're able to just drop curse after curse after curse without any issues. Curse of Pain followed by Curse of Weakness. And remember, you always got that Q to get out. I know, it's the most annoying gameplay style, but it works extremely well, and it's a great way to play utility and support your teammates. Remember, keep spamming those Curse of Weaknesses, and it'll be over before you know. One of the great things about Curse of Weakness is if you're able to land 1 or 2 curses on each of your enemies, it's easier to escape, especially with our move speed at 316. And then when it comes to combat, it's the same idea. Land that Curse of Weakness, land that Curse of Pain, and you'll be doing major damage, but also allowing your teammate to come in with that physical damage and finish them off. With our Curse Mastery, the Curse of Weakness is 15 seconds, so it's not even necessary to spam them like I am here, but it's just important to keep that curse going. And remember, the whole time you have your Phantom Eyes, so if anything gets sticky, you can just get out. I haven't played enough solos since the update, so this is just a 1v2 after we killed the Cyclops and I went to revive my buddy. Just like before, it's extremely important to land your curses 1 or 2 on each if you're trying to get the kill, and don't be afraid to curse mobs, so you're constantly healing. If you look, that was 5 sources of healing, so as you watch my health go up right now, you'll see. The reason I'm being so slow here is to slow the mobs to try to slow the people pushing me. And then here, I land the curse, and I missed this Power of Sacrifice on purpose, party chip style, you know, trying to give myself an extra strength boost. I totally wasn't gonna give him a power sacrifice and let him beat on me with extra 12 strength and vigor. No, I would never do that. Like I said, continue to heal off these mobs. It's super important to get that healing going. We're gonna be super weak as a warlock, but if we can just constantly land those heals, we're able to continue to push. And that's gonna do it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, so much love, and peace.